Good morning. It is June 19th, as known as Juneteenth. And I thought it would be important to start this day to talk a little bit about why I do the work that I do and why I see this as a significant day of honor and recognition of the fight that continues to go on. I mean, many of my friends and coworkers say we free-ish, meaning that we're not 100% free. There's anytime there's people who are struggling and suffering with poverty and with institutional racism, with police abuse and inaccountability, people don't feel free. But just to stay historically relevant, we're going to say that on this day in 1865, there was a General Gordon Granger, and he got to Galveston, Texas, and he read an order. It was order number 3. 3 is really significant, which affirmed the end of slavery in the United States and of the former Confederacy. So it was momentous. It was in a special moment. It was an occasion to be really recognized, and it has been celebrated as Juneteenth. So a combination of June and the 19th for over 150 years. So when people say do something black today, share, let people know, it was because of Juneteenth. Even though Emancipation Proclamation freed all enslaved folks, there were still people in different parts of this country, especially the South, who did not know that they were free. And so their announcements, they relied on, our postal service, how we rely on that now. They relied on Union troops to let them know any announcements or anything significant. News didn't travel as fast as it does now, which is why social media scares a lot of powers that be, because the fact that people can organize and galvanize and come together in the matter of minutes or hours across the globe in solidarity for issues that matter to them. So it's the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of ending slavery in the United States. We also know that there's all forms of slavery, that there's from human trafficking to child labor, child slavery. There's still forms of it going, religious groups who practice some form of it. But we are just speaking in the know of the historical relevance that Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated mark of ending slavery in the United States. It's hard to talk about it because I know that there's some people who don't feel free. So whether you choose to celebrate it or not, or just honor it, I think it's important. We know that white lives have been lost. We know that Native American lives have been lost. We know that Asian American lives have been lost. But we got to make sure that we commemorate what the U.S. did and how that how slavery was enforced. We have to make sure that we recognize when it officially ended and the after effects of what's going on. So it's a Juneteenth weekend. It's been a Juneteenth weekend. Now we're at Monday, the actual day. So it's important that we understand when people say Happy Juneteenth or Happy Freedom Day, that people are coming from this from different angles, and it's important to respect that. I can't tell somebody on how to honor, but I can make sure that we're holding space and being respectful for the different ways. The end of slavery to me should be celebrated by all Americans. All Americans, no matter when you came here, no matter when your ancestors got here, you should be celebrating, because what Black people and African American people endured is the reason why you can come to this country and be successful. For the most part, it's the reason why we've earned some of the privileges and freedoms that many of us enjoy. And more importantly, slavery infected every aspect of American society and our economy. And so it was followed by not just the ending of slavery, then there was another 100 years of Jim Crow with these repressive laws that continue to impact our legacies, our young people, our seasoned people who are still dealing with the impacts of that. So we all need to be educated, and some people hadn't been taught about Juneteenth or when slavery ended. I don't know how you make a history book and you don't have that in there. That's crazy to me. But it's important for you to do your research. You have the power. I'm on my cell phone now, but you have a power of a cell phone, of a computer, that even if it's not 100% accurate, can still put you in the mix of what has happened, what is going on, why people celebrate it, why there's so many groups who feel left out. And so, anyway, on this day, actually, in last year, let's fast forward, 2022, I became the executive director of Vocal Kentucky. Vocal Kentucky is a membership led organization. We work on issues that impact poor people, and many of those poor people are African American people and others. But the issues we work on are ending the epidemic and the stigma around HIV and AIDS, and making sure people who are immune compromised actually have the support and services and resources that they need. Working on housing. Housing is all the things. It's healthcare, it's public safety, it's education, it's infrastructure, family values, it's stability. It's a way to welcome people. It's public health, and it's a human right. Housing first is the only way we see that. Also, the failed war on drugs. Kentucky has been one of the biggest victims in the failed war on drugs and the opioid crisis. So it's important that we lift up every Kentuckian who has been impacted by this issue. Mass incarceration. All of these issues overlap with mass incarceration. People are literally locked up because they're poor and they can't afford their bail. And so for me, it feels like a continuation of my work to end poverty, to end political repression, and to make sure that we improve lives, that we save lives, we improve lives no matter what station that they are. We meet people where they're at and we invite them in. We're membership led, Vocal Kentucky is, and we stand on the shoulders of Vocal New York, who has been in a phenomenal organization that is we've been able to take what works from New York that we can apply to Kentucky, but also build in the Kentucky context, because we are the gateway to the South. And so organizing here means that we have to be very, very intentional and make sure that we first establish ourselves, we prove ourselves, and we consistently show up again and again and again. As the new director, I've been able to do that, and more than 70% of my staff is African American, Black, and so when I ask you to donate and do something Black for Vocal Kentucky, I want you to know that your dollar goes so far. Our membership has a great deal of Black people, people who have been marginalized, people who are directly impacted by every one of those issues I named before. So I want to ask you to consider donating to vocalkentucky.org. So it's vocal, vocal-ky.org, O-R-G. And we've been asking people for the last 3 weeks to donate any amount of $18.65, $19, $16, $19. I don't really care what the amount is. The more you give, the more you help sustain our work and help us keep going, help us pushing meaningful work forward. We're lifting up, we're the muscle to a lot of social justice efforts and issues that really don't get a lot of light. And we've been able to add people and add more than bodies, but add policy, people who are impacted by policies, be able to say that, people who are surviving the failed drug war, be able to lead the work. People who are actually homeless as we speak, who are able to lead and lead the work and tell us what worked for them and what doesn't work for them. I am honored to do this work. And like I said, 1 year later, I'm here and I'm excited to keep going forward. This weekend, we're taking over 26 people to Washington, D.C. for the People's Action Convening. It's an organizing revival. So we invest in our membership by taking them to meet other people who are struggling in different states. You all know, if I haven't said this to you, do know that I have 120 county focus, and my mission is to make sure we spread this good work with our community partners across the state. So we're making a lot of big moves. And if you can't join us, there's always room for you to join us. We meet every other Thursday, but we also are getting a new building, and so I'll be working on that building fund after we get back next month, so you can learn how to get involved with that. But anyway, please support vocalkentucky.org, vocal-ky.org. Stay in tune, sign up and become a member. We need you. Have a great Juneteenth. Bye.